Hi, my name is Luna, and I'm 34 years old. Today, I want to share a story that's both sad and funny. It's my way of honoring my late sister-in-law, who always found humor even in the toughest times. First, let me tell you about my brother Leo. He's younger than me and was my best friend growing up. But as we got older, we drifted apart, although we still met up once a week. When Leo went to college, he started partying a lot, barely attended classes, and dated many women. This worried me because he had always been a studious and kind person, but he seemed to be changing. Thankfully, after graduating, Leo got his life together. He found a great job and had a girlfriend named Alice. They dated for a year before he introduced her to me. Alice and Leo got married 2 years later, and Alice and I became good friends. She was funny, smart, and made Leo happy. Sadly, a year after their marriage, Alice was in a terrible car accident on her way to work. Leo called me, devastated, and I still get chills remembering that call. Alice was in the hospital for a long time. When she was finally discharged, the doctor told us she would live, but she was paralyzed from the waist down. Leo cried a lot, and it was hard for all of us. Leo became responsible for taking care of Alice, but one day she called me crying. She said Leo hadn't been around, and she was in a terrible state. I rushed over to help her. "Thank you so much, Luna. You don't know how much you've helped me," Alice said after I cleaned her up. "Oh, hush. You're like my sister, and I want to help you," I replied. "I don't know how else to repay you, though. Maybe you could tell me why you're all alone. Where's Leo?" I asked. "I have no idea. He left yesterday to get groceries and hasn't come back yet." "What? Why?" "I don't know. He was unhappy about my accident and paralysis, but I hoped he loved me enough to stay." "You think he left you? Either that or something bad happened to him. I'd rather think he left than that he got hurt. Since he hasn't been back for so long, I'm going to assume you haven't eaten either. After I feed you, I'm calling Leo to give him a piece of my mind." "I don't think that's necessary." "Why not? He's abandoned you when you're most vulnerable. He needs to be yelled at. He never signed up for me becoming paralyzed. This is a huge change, and I can understand why he wanted to leave." "Alice, if the roles were reversed, if he got into a horrible car crash and was paralyzed, would you leave him?" "Absolutely not. I love Leo, and I would want to stay with him no matter what." "Then why are you excusing Leo's awful behavior towards you, especially when you would never treat him the same way? He may have vowed to stand by you in sickness and in health." "I don't know. I've been trying my hardest not to let this consume me, but it hurts too much to think about Leo leaving. I'm sorry I got upset at you." "Don't apologize. I'm just so mad at Leo for doing this to you. I can't even imagine what you're going through. It's hard. I haven't cried since he left, and I don't want to. Aside from the hurt, I feel so mad at him. You're right. There's no reason to excuse his behavior, but accepting the truth is just painful." "Hey, it's okay. You know what? Why don't you come live with me? That way, I can take care of you, and you won't be alone. I don't want to be a burden on you." "You are never a burden, Alice. And that was a rhetorical question. You're coming to live with me." "Thank you so much. You really are an angel." Words cannot describe how upset I was with what Leo had done. But before confronting him, I needed to make sure Alice was okay. I fed her, gave her water, helped her get back to bed, and made her sleep for a while. Then I packed some of her things. I couldn't let her stay alone in a house filled with memories of Leo. After Alice woke up, I helped her into my car, and we drove to my place. Over the next 2 weeks, Alice was a mess. She went from being full of life to a shell of her former self. She cried constantly, and my heart hurt for her. I tried to help by taking her out for coffee whenever I could after work. I also kept trying to contact Leo, but he never responded to my texts or calls. One day, Leo finally picked up the phone, and I struggled to keep my cool. Hello, Leo. Wow, you finally picked up your phone. I'm doing good. What about you? Quit the sarcasm, Leo. Where in the world are you? I'm at home. Oh, yeah. Then explain why you weren't there when I went over. Why was Alice all alone? Oh, wow, you found out fast. Are you going to explain yourself? I don't see why I have to. Leo, you left your paralyzed wife home alone, covered in her own excrement. Don't you think that deserves some explanation? Look, I just don't want to take care of her anymore. Oh, weight on your shoulders. You promised to be by her side forever, no matter what. Those were just words. This is not what I signed up for. In my defense, I tried to be there for her, but she's just not the same anymore. You have no defense. If you had really tried, the least you could have done was talk to Alice about how you felt and then left her in the care of someone better. Running away is something only cowards do. Spare me the nonsense. I had to get away and did whatever I could to do it. If you're so big on taking care of Alice, maybe you should do it. Because, unlike you, I have sympathy and empathy. I care for Alice and want to make sure she's well taken care of. Well, I wish you nothing but luck. You can talk all high and mighty now, but give it a few months, and you'll see exactly why I left. Alice could never stop whining and crying. It was torture. What do you expect from someone who has just been through something so horrific? She needs space to heal, and you should have given her that. You've done nothing but add to her trauma. Whatever. I don't care about her now. I'm moving on to bigger and better things. Goodbye. I couldn't believe my brother could be so insensitive and inhuman. I was in shock and shaking with rage. When Alice asked later if I got through to Leo, I knew I couldn't lie to her. I told her the truth, and it seemed to wake her up. She went from being sad and heartbroken to hating Leo. She made hilarious digs at him and never cried over him again. Gradually, she returned to her old self, full of life and laughter. Alice tried to get a divorce from Leo, but he never responded to the papers. Pursuing the divorce would have taken a lot of money, which she didn't have due to her medical bills. So she just let it be. Time went on, and Alice and I became the best of friends. It felt nice to come home to a not empty house. The first year and a half of living together was great, but then things started to go downhill. It began with Alice getting a cut on her leg, which she didn't feel because of her paralysis. I didn't notice it since her legs were always covered, and she usually didn't need my help getting dressed or taking a shower. Alice must have seen it but didn't think it was a big deal. Unfortunately, the cut went unnoticed for 2 weeks and got infected. I'll spare you the gory details, but Alice's body was too weak to fight the infection, and she was quickly hospitalized. The infection had spread too far, and the doctor said she had only a few weeks to live. I was devastated, and so was Alice, but she put on a brave face for everyone who visited her. Only I saw her crying at night, and it took everything in me not to break down seeing her like that. Alice's final request was for me to hire a lawyer so she could create her will and to sit by her side until she took her last breath. The first task was easy. The second was not. I was inconsolable for days after Alice passed away. Her funeral was arranged quickly, and her entire family flew out to attend. After the funeral, some of her family members stayed with me. We were all grieving, and it felt nice to not be alone. I had almost forgotten about Leo until he showed up at my house just a week after Alice passed away. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "What do you think?" "I heard Alice passed away. You feel guilty about it now." "Well, it's pointless." "I don't feel guilty at all. I feel great. Ever since I left her, life has treated me well. You are a piece of work. Get out. I don't want to see or hear from you again. Please Don't be so dramatic. I'm here for only one thing. What is it? I'm here to collect my inheritance. Inheritance? You came here for that. Well, I got a call from Alice's lawyer. She left me something in her will. $50,000. You're lying. She hated you. Why would she leave you so much money? Clearly, she didn't hate me enough. Did she leave you anything? No, but I don't care about that. That's a shame. The most valuable thing she gave me was being part of her final moments. No amount of money compares to that. Yeah, let's see those precious final moments of yours pay the bills. Look, you need to leave. Everyone's grieving right now. Come back in a few days to collect whatever you need. No, I came for one thing, and I'm not leaving without it. I can't help that you're jealous. I'm not jealous. I know I'm a better person than you, and that's enough for me. Please. I know you're upset Alice didn't leave you anything. You spent 2 years taking care of her like a fool, and she left you nothing. Leo, please get off my property right now. I'll call you when the inheritance is announced. What if I say no? Is her lawyer there? I want to speak to her. No, only a few family members and friends are here. You need to leave before you upset anyone. Everyone here hates you, so leave. Fine, whatever. But this isn't over. I'm going to talk to her lawyer and see exactly what she left me. Then I'm going to flaunt it in your face until you cry. You'll regret calling me a horrible person because you'll see Alice for the monster she truly was. I couldn't believe Leo had the nerve to show up 2 years after abandoning Alice just to get his inheritance. It took every ounce of self-restraint not to punch him. I slammed the door in his face and went back inside. What upset me more was that Alice actually left him $50,000. I knew she hated him more than anyone, so why leave him anything at all? Maybe because he was still legally her spouse. The more I thought about it, the more upset I got, and I was already grieving enough. I didn't expect Alice to leave me anything. Living with her for the last 2 years didn't feel like a burden. It felt like living with my best friend. Still, I couldn't help but feel disrespected that she left Leo so much money. Over the next 2 days, I tried to put those thoughts out of my mind while coping with my grief. Then I got a call from Alice's mother, Maxine. Hi, Luna. Are you free to talk for a few minutes? Yes, of course. How are you doing? Well, I'm getting by, I suppose. What about you? Same here. The house feels so empty without Alice. Thank you so much for helping her out. By the way, Maxine called me to talk. She said, if I didn't live so far away and have 2 young children to take care of, I would have helped her out myself. I replied, you don't have to thank me for anything, Maxine. Alice understood your situation and never wanted you to feel bad about not being able to help. I'm just glad I could be there for her. Maxine said, Alice was right. You're an amazing person. It's a shame you're related to that awful brother of yours. I know, and I'm so sorry Alice had to go through everything with him. I never thought he could be so heartless. You have nothing to apologize for. Besides, if Alice hadn't met your brother, she wouldn't have met you either. That's one way to look at it. Why did you call? Is something wrong? I wanted to tell you something about Alice's will. I didn't see the will, but I don't think she left me anything. What are you talking about? She left you her house. What? Leo came over and bragged about how Alice left him $50,000 and nothing for me. Maxine explained. Alice's lawyer called him to tell him about it. But there's more to the story. Alice hated Leo, especially after you helped her see his true nature. She asked her lawyer to call Leo right after she passed to give him his inheritance. But if she hated Leo, why did she leave him $50,000? Aren't you curious about how she had $50,000 to begin with? I am, but I didn't think it was my place to ask. Well, Alice never had $50,000 in cash or her bank account. She had it in Blockbuster gift cards. Wait, what? So she's giving Leo a bunch of useless Blockbuster cards. Yeah, she wanted to leave Leo with one last screw you for abandoning her. Oh my God, that's amazing. Did you really think Alice would leave without giving you something? I wouldn't have minded, but Leo is coming over tomorrow. It would be amazing to see his reaction. Can you record it? Of course, I'll do it for you. I couldn't believe it. Of course, Alice would want to get back at Leo for abandoning her. I was so caught up in my grief that I hadn't thought of it that way. I felt bad for doubting her, but knew she did this to make me happy. I asked Maxine to send me a copy of Alice's will so I could show Leo if needed. Then I texted Leo and set up a meeting for the next day. I went to Alice's house to find the box of Blockbuster cards. I knew she loved movies, but to have that many cards was surprising. I started tidying up the place. Alice had left me one of her most cherished possessions, her house. She worked hard to buy it, and being there felt strangely comforting. I found the box of Blockbuster cards and decided to spend the night there. The next day, around noon, Leo came to the house. He had a smug look on his face. I tried to keep a sad face so he wouldn't suspect anything. I set up my phone by the garage to record the whole interaction. "Hello, I'm here to collect my inheritance," Leo said. "Yeah, I know. I didn't think you'd come here to see me." "I kind of did. I wanted to see how pathetic you looked, and you do. Real classy to mock someone who's grieving. You're grieving someone who used you for care and left you nothing after they died. I'm not the villain you think I am." "I don't think you're a villain. I know you are. Enough chit-chat. Give me my inheritance." "All right, here you go." I handed him a box. "A box? I don't get it. Is the money in here?" "Oh yeah. Why don't you open it?" "These are all Blockbuster cards." "Yes, and they're worth $50,000. You're so lucky." "What is this? Are you playing around with me?" "Nope. This is what Alice left you. Don't lie to me. I will file a case against you for withholding my inheritance." "No need to get so worked up, Lou. Here's a copy of her will. Look, she even instructed her lawyer to call you and tell you about what she left you." So this was all some sick joke. Did you really expect her to leave money to the fool who left her alone? When Alice first got paralyzed, Leo accused me of convincing her to leave him the joke inheritance. Believe me, Leo, I didn't do any of this. Besides, I could never come up with something this funny. Why did she leave you her house? Maybe because I took care of her until she passed. I'm going to take you to court. You're going to regret messing with me. Alice loved me. She did everything I asked her to. There's no way she would have done this to me. Oh, so you admit you only stayed with her to use her. That's lovely to hear. Shut up. The next time you hear from me, it will be through my lawyer. You better be prepared. Do your worst. I doubt you can do anything worse than what you did to Alice." Leo angrily walked away, looking like a child throwing a tantrum. As soon as I closed the door, I burst out laughing. It was the first time I had properly laughed since Alice passed away. It felt like Alice knew this would cheer me up, and it really did. I don't know why Leo thought Alice would actually leave him all that money. Leo stuck to his word and tried to take me to court for influencing Alice to change her will. So I hired a lawyer too. Before we could file an official complaint, our lawyers thought it would be best to try to settle our issues without involving the court by holding a meeting. At this meeting, I showed Leo's lawyer all the proof I had against him. Showed proof of him abandoning Alice just 2 months after she got paralyzed. I showed proof of how Leo never helped Alice financially even after he left. Most importantly, I showed the lawyer the video of Leo coming over to collect his inheritance. Needless to say, his lawyer did not want to take up his case after that. If anything, If Leo did take the case to court, he'd be held in contempt for abandoning his spouse and not helping her out financially. Leo tried to hire a few more lawyers after that, but he could never manage to officially take the complaint to court. He eventually gave up on trying to get back at me that way. Instead, he took to social media to slander me. He made a lot of posts on Facebook, ranting about how I was the worst sister and how I manipulated his late wife into leaving him nothing. When I initially recorded our interaction on the day Leo came to pick up his inheritance, I had only shared it with Alice's mother, Maxine. We both had a hearty laugh over it. The only other people who saw the video were my lawyer and the few lawyers Leo involved when he tried to file a case against me. I never showed anybody else that video because I didn't think it was right to humiliate Leo anymore. But since he took to social media and tried to make me seem like the bad guy, causing me to receive a lot of messages from family and friends telling me that what I did wasn't right, I decided it wouldn't be right to stay silent. So I posted the video on my account and then swiftly blocked Leo. Everyone who once criticized me quickly took my side and apologized for assuming things without asking me for my side of the story. Leo's in hot water with everyone, and many of our family members have cut ties with him. It turns out he had lied to them about how he'd been taking care of Alice. He told them he had to move to another state for work and left her in my care. Everyone had been praising him, but none of them knew the truth. I don't know what happened to Leo after that, but it's nice knowing he finally faced the consequences of his actions. As for me, I'm doing a little better. I'm still grappling with Alice's passing, but I've decided to live in her house so I can feel like she's still there with me. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I hope you enjoyed it.